And we're here with Rob Chambers from the Speech at Microsoft group. And, I wanted you to talk a little bit about, we've got a really robust foundation on Speech NUI. What are some of the things that developers can leverage now?
That's a great question, Larry. Thanks. Before I answer deeply into the developer, let me sort of situate what our speech platform is. So we have assets, we have a speech recognizer, a speech synthesizer that can convert speech into text or convert text into speech. And we have that in a way we can materialize it in multiple different places. We can put it on the desktop PC, as in Windows 7. We can put it into Windows phones, as you've seen in the Windows Mobile 6.5 phone that just came out recently. We can also put it up on the server as part of Exchange 2010. So there are a lot of places this speech platform can materialize itself, and developers can take advantage of it in any of those different locations. It's one of the nice things, because when developers learn how to do speech recognition or speech synthesis programming, they can reuse their knowledge in one domain and put it into another domain. So for example, if I wanted to make an application on the Windows 7 desktop speech-enabled, many of the things that I learned would be applicable if I wanted to also make a web service available for mobile phones. We have in the operating system today, we've got a C# managed code library that people can do speech recognition and speech synthesis. That's also available on the server side inside of the Unified Communication Managed API. So developers can download either of those two SDKs and get started right away building speech-enabled applications, either on the server or on the desktop.
And this is something they'll work on all SKUs of Windows 7?
Yeah, so what I'll show you here in a few minutes will work on all SKUs of Windows. We have speech recognition available in 8 different languages, but in all SKUs. So what if I show you some of the high-level features that the platform's built on? Okay, so as you can see, we've got the Windows 7 desktop up here right now. Down at the bottom of the screen, I have the user interface for speech recognition. It says that it's off. There's a button I can turn it on. There's also hard keys that are integrated. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using this wireless microphone. It's a 16 kilohertz high bandwidth spectrum device that allows me to get high quality signal into the PC. It's very important. A lot of laptops have good mics in them, but it's good to have as good a quality as you can.
Yeah.
When we started putting speech into the operating system a long time ago with tablet PCs, then through Vista, and now today, and what we have in Windows 7 is the state-of-the-art system. We can use it. Users can control the operating system, command and control. They can
in the
dictate
tablet OS,
documents.
you kind of switch between a control situation and a dictation, and that's all.
That's
right.
It's
all unified now.
It's all unified. So we just have one mode. The recognizer will determine if it's been detected as a command or if it's dictation. Let me show you a quick example of that. So if I wanted to start applications, what would you say if you wanted to start an application?
Start Notepad.
There you go. How about that? Start Notepad. But see, it won't work because it's off. So you have to turn it on, and then once it's on, you'll also see that there's no signal coming into it. There's a VU meter there, and I can talk to my heart's content. I've got the microphone muted. If I unmute it, I can say, Start Notepad. And up comes Notepad. Now once it's up, I can say what I see on the screen and interact with it, so I could say the items there on the menu and dictate. I can also do other commands to manipulate windows and things like maximize window. I can dictate, hello, period, new paragraph. My name is Rob Chambers, period. So you can see, there it is, my name is Rob Chambers. It didn't capitalize Rob Chambers because both of those words are possible words that could be used in another context. In other software, you might have to say select Rob Chambers and then capitalize, but when we ran usability studies, we found that people really just wanted to say capitalize Rob Chambers. And it does it right there in place. The insertion point's still where it is.
Yeah.
So I put some text in there. Now if I wanted to make the font a little larger, I could do format, font, size, 20. OK. That's one way to do it. But in terms of the natural user interface, I've got a piece of code on here that's a prototype macro that I've made that makes me be able to do that much more easily. Change the font to 10. That's a lot easier.
Wow, that is very cool.
Yeah. So I mentioned that macro system. That's something that's not included in the operating system directly, but it is downloadable off of downloads.microsoft.com. You can just search for Windows speech recognition macros, download that, and you can create really simple macros. That one's a little more complicated with some XML, but if you're an HTML programmer and you're comfortable with JavaScript or VBScript, these macros are pretty easy to use. Even users that have no programming experience can make simple ones like inserting text, things like that.
Yeah.
I go up to websites and answer speech questions from time to time, and people, they like how interactive we are with the developer community, but I also always have to tell them who I am and what my website is and things like that. So I don't like typing all that, so instead I like saying, insert my public signature. And then out comes all this information that I didn't have to type each time. Now, if somebody wanted to make a macro like that, they can use the macro system to do that. Got the tool running down here in the tray, that icon. I can right-click, do a new macro. And these simple things, insert text, I can type in what it is I wanted to say, and then the text that I want to inject every time I say that, just making it easy to have that boilerplate text stuck into the document. But then I made a macro to make new macros, so I wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I can say, new text macro. And it brings it up to the same spot.
Nice.
It's very simple. Cancel. Other things that you can do in the operating system, though, I showed you the dictation, I showed you controlling the operating system. When there are errors in the document sometimes because the recognizer is not perfect or your family might be making noise in the background, if you needed to correct something, it's challenging sometimes. So we put a bunch of commands in there to make that more easily done. So for example, if I wanted, let's see if I can make it to make a mistake. New paragraph. The other day, I went to the farm and I bought 2 quarts of milk, period. It says about. I said, went to the farm and bought. So if I wanted to correct about, I could say, correct about. And up comes a bunch of different options. The option I want is in there, number 5, I bought. Now, when we did usability studies, we found that people, they might want to say 5 and then OK, but they might say them really close together.
Yeah.
So we optimized that so you can batch a bunch of commands together in many places in the system, and that's one of them. I can just say 5 OK. And there it is. Also, if there was a place in here I wanted to make a change, like if I wanted to, let's say I was in Word and I wanted to make the word Rob bold or something. If I tried to select that, select Rob. There are 2 of them. So we show you where they are and allow you to select whichever one you want. So if I said 1, it goes to the first one, also leading me through because it has a little OK in there. OK. Now that's selected. That same basic idea has been done in other places. So if I had a web page open and I wanted to interact with something on a web page, but I didn't know what it was that I wanted to say, there's another command you can use called show numbers. Let me set that up for you. If I wanted to start the browser, start Internet Explorer. Up comes the browser. I don't have a home page. If I want to go over to the Bing box and search for something, press Control-E. That demonstrates you get full command and control of the keyboard. Now, if I wanted to search for, let's search for myself, Rob Chambers. Press Enter. There you go. Now, because it's ambiguous what it would be if I said Rob, I'm trying to select and click on one of these links in the document. Click Rob. There are a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So I can pick whichever one I want. Other scenarios might be cancel. If I have images, so like if I was on the MSN web page or some other web page and there are a lot of images, I didn't know what to say because there's no text, I can use a show numbers command like this, show numbers. And it puts one of those numbers on everything that's possible to be controlled in the operating system. So if I didn't know what this RSS feed thing was, the number 23, I could just do the show numbers, 23, OK. And then down here in the bottom it says, next time try saying feeds to teach the user how to actually use the system. So in addition to command and control and dictation and correcting of documents, we have a couple higher level features in the operating system too for people who don't know how to use the operating system. So we started off with this on how do I learn how to use speech recognition? Well, you should be able to ask a question like how do I select text with speech recognition? But we then opened that up to anything in the operating system. So with Windows 7, what's something you don't know how to do you wish you knew how to do?
All right, so I want to set up a wireless network.
Okay, let's see if we can find that. How do I set up a wireless network? And then up comes tasks for setting up a wireless network. There it is, number 1 or number 2. Pretty easy.
Nice. And so in the tablet PC version, there was a command that let you see what it was that you could say. Is there still like a what can I say?
We do have that command. What can I say? It brings up another help topic, which is about the different commands that are available both in dictation and keyboard keys. We know a lot of people don't use help and they don't try to figure it out that way. So we introduced an interactive tutorial to the system so that when you first run speech, you're asked to go through the tutorial. It teaches you how to do everything that I've shown you so far about starting applications, switching back and forth, keyboard commands, dictation, correcting documents. All of that's covered in the speech tutorial.
And what are the other things that developers can leverage? Like, how would they benefit from a lot of the robust Tell Me?
Good question. So the speech recognizer that we have here in the Windows operating system is fundamentally the same recognizer that we have in our other deployments, like Exchange 2010 or in the Tell Me network. We take the recognizer and we make special tweaks to it, or we tune it in special ways so it works better on a telephony network or on a mobile device or on the desktop. So the Tell Me developers are developers that want to have a presence where you call a phone number and somebody picks up, the assistant picks up, talks to your user and then asks user questions and they interact. They can use the same basic technologies there to, when you create a grammar for what works on the desktop PC, it also works for the Tell Me network. The Tell Me network is far richer in terms of supporting some other standards like voice XML. It's very easy to use the W3C standard voice XML to build out speech applications. And the great thing about hosting them in the Tell Me network is you don't have to worry about hosting them yourselves. How do I bring in a T1 line and terminate it and get it to work with a bunch of server boxes? Well, that's already been taken care of. You just call Tell Me up and you get it set up, you get a phone number, and bam, there you go.
And where would a developer go to start learning about some of these things? Do you have a page for developer resources?
There are several places online. So you can go to the speech website directly on Microsoft.com, which is Microsoft.com/speech. That's where anybody who wants to interact with the speech system can go. We also have a node on MSDN for speech that combines how you look at it from a speech perspective across all the different domains. So if you go over into the library and click down here, you can see that at a top-level node, we have speech technologies. You open that up for desktop, embedded, server, services, and cross-platform. Now we've seen what we can do in Windows. We've seen what the developer platform is really capable of here on the server as a service. And now you have all this MSDN documentation. You can go and see not only what you can do for the desktop, but also for enterprise development with the Tell Me network, voice XML applications. Just dig into this rich set of information here on MSDN.
Well, thanks for showing us this today, and come back anytime. Show us some more of this.
Absolutely. Thanks, Larry.